Welcome to Color 101. I am so happy to have all of you in my studio today. This is going to be a very, very easy class. First of all, I want to introduce to you the three students that I have in class today. We have Elizabeth with us today, and we have Brittany, and we have Vicki. And I have to give you a hand for being so brave. Now you have your boards, your drawing boards. They're called canvas boards in front of you that you're going to work on. And then you've got your water buckets, you've got brushes, and we'll go through everything as we go through the class. And you've also got a piece of vine charcoal. And this is a medium width vine charcoal. So reach down and pick up your little charcoal sticks. And then we're going to start doing shapes. Also, every show is going to have a color quote by an artist. And today our color quote is, because I want to make sure I get it right, it is, "Color is my day-long obsession, joy, and torment." And so the whole deal is you have to guess what artist said that. And so the first person to email me, the correct artist who made this quote, will get a t-shirt, a Painting with Raney t-shirt, which we don't happen to have right now, but believe me, it's going to be beautiful. All you have to do is email that to me. On the next show, we will reveal the name of the artist. And I'm going to give you little tips about who it is. And the first tip is, he's French. And I just gave you two. It's a he and he's French. Okay, isn't this exciting? Riveting for those of you at home too. Everybody get a charcoal board, a piece of paper, and your charcoal, vine charcoal. And it breaks very easily, so don't worry about it if it breaks. But what we're going to do is basic shapes today. Because I think drawing is a prerequisite to painting always. And if you can't draw, then how are you going to learn to paint the shapes that you need to do? So we're going to learn the 5 basic shapes. 5 basic shapes, and we're all going to draw them together. Okay, it's going to be real easy. And then we're going to make those shapes 2-dimensional. And then we're going to add color. It's called grisaille is the method, the black and white. And then we're going to add color, and then you're going to have these 3-dimensional objects that you made, and you thought you could only do stick figures. Okay, are we ready? Is everybody ready? Yes. Say yes.
Yes.
Yes. All right. So the first shape, the first basic shape we're going to do is a circle. When you do a circle, when you draw it all, use your whole arm. Don't do any of this. Don't do any of this. No, that's not good, because you won't get a whole circle. You'll get a squiggly circle. Use your whole arm. It's a direct connection from the head all the way down to the fingers. And put your circle where I put it, just basically because it kind of makes it a nice little composition at the end. So let's do a circle. Let's kind of go with the lower part of our canvas. Use your whole arm. Mine's not perfect, but we're going to work with it. And you see how the charcoal is going to be, you can just kind of feel how it's very granular underneath the pressure that you put on. Okay, now let's do a square. Now I'm going to overlap one of the corners of this square, just a little bit right here. That's a nice big wide line. There will be a critique at the end of the class. You at home, you don't have to worry about that. But we will get to see what they do, and that's the most exciting part of the class. Okay, we got our square. Isn't this exciting? All right, now let's go for a triangle. Let's pull it right on up here. I'm going to slightly overlap every shape, just a little bit, to give it interest. The triangle actually is kind of coming up in sort of the middle of our piece.
Oops.
Okay.
Oops
is good, because you have an eraser. You all have a little white eraser, which of course we don't tell about that for the first thing, because we just assume that you're not going to make an oops, but if you do, you have the eraser. And just erase. Let's go over here and let's take a look. How's that erasing? Oh, that's doing very well. Okay. And just don't worry about it, because charcoal is very forgiving. You can actually take your finger and you can blend it all out. Okay? So now the other shape is an oval. So come about midway and do an oval. We're actually not even going to do the other side of the oval, but we're going to assume everybody will know it's the same is on the left. These are all the shapes that anything you paint is going to derive from. Everything you do is going to have some semblance of these shapes. So you got to be able to know how to draw them. Okay, let's move it on up here to a rectangle. Okay. We're going to start right behind the oval. Let's see, I'm going to bring it down to about right here. I know what's coming next, so I'm just going to put that line there. We can go ahead and do that. My rectangle's a little crookedy, but that's all right. I bet there's some other crookedy rectangles out there too, and since I'm the teacher, then you should feel good about it because it just happens. So, oh, well, that's lovely. Look at these nice big shapes. See how simple this is? Anybody can draw. All right, now we're ready to kind of flesh them out a little bit. All right, this suddenly becomes a sphere. We haven't put the gradation in it yet, but we will. Let's make this square into a box. All our lines we want them all to be equidistant, parallel, about the same length. Did I mess up? Did you mess up? Oh, that's good. That's good. Now, we'll come over here to the triangle. And when we make a triangle into a cone shape, what we're going to do is there's a very hard corner here. The corners and the ridges and the edges are what separate the professionals from the ones that are just kind of playing around, from the hobbyists. We want to go right at this corner and we want to very gently swoop it down a little bit.
Raney, my box doesn't look like a box.
Your box doesn't look
My
like
box looks nothing like yours.
Well, you can kind of lay this line down just a little bit. Kind of put it up here a little bit and then move that one on down. I love it, Eureka. All right. Those are the sounds we want to hear. And I'm going to go up here to what is now going to be a hemisphere where our oval is. We're going to make it into a bowl. Now let's go up here to the rectangle. So the bottom of the rectangle, we're going to do the same thing we did over here for the cone. We're just going to kind of dip it down a little bit. And we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to put another oval on the top of this. So now we have a cylinder, we have a bowl, we've got a cone, we have a box, and we've got a sphere. Okay, how's everybody at home coming along? Have you seen now that your two-dimensional flat objects are now starting to have some shape and they're starting to get rounded out? And you up there in the box seats, the nosebleed seats. Okay, so let's go down here to the sphere and we're going to start shading it because that's what's going to give it form. This is the part of the grisaille method that I was telling you about. Our light, you always have to know where your light source is. So our light source is going to come in from right here. And I'm just going to put a little check there so I'll know. So if you want to do that, that's fine because you want to remember where your light source is coming. Because our light source is coming here, then we know that this area here is going to be in shadow. So just go ahead and rub your charcoal real softly in this area. And then this is the good part because you really get to get your fingers into it and start moving around. Then you just want to smooth it out. Your shadow is going to follow the form of the object that you're drawing. So it's going to be kind of rounded, just like what I'm doing here. Okay, so you've got your shadow there. Now, you're going to have a part right in the middle of this that's going to, see, I broke my charcoal. Oh my God, it's all right. It's going to emulate the shape that you just made with your shadow. And you make the shape within the shadow. That's where the sphere turns away from the light. That's your darkest area. Now how we doing? Everybody okay?
Doing good.
All right. Miss Elizabeth's not saying much today. That's okay. That's probably a good thing for now. You just feel free to speak up though. Okay, let's move on to the box. Now the darkest area in the box, the darkest side, is going to be this big shape here that is turned away from the light. This is actually going to be as dark as that crescent shape, really dark crescent shape that we put inside the sphere. Now this side here of the box is not going to be quite so dark. It's going to be a little lighter. So you just want to make sure that you have an indication that this side of the box is not as dark as the back side of the box. Are our fingers good and messy now? Because if they are, we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. Okay. All right. Now let's go to the cone and let's put some shadow in the cone. Now our shadow is going to follow the shape of the cone. So that means that the shadow is going to be very, very pointy and narrow up here at the top. And as we go down the cone, it's going to get wider and wider. How are we doing on those cones?
Just getting started.
We ought to be very quiet. Please do speak up, because the people at home, some of the students at home might be going a little slower. I can get it this far, and then I'll go back around and double check on you, because also for the cone, for the dark accent part of the cone, we're going to do just like we did with the sphere. We're going to kind of come up right in the middle of that shadow area, and we're going to do a dark accent. Oh, that's lovely. That's very good. Keep going. I would never I would never say stop. That would just be too much. I'm not even going to go there. You're doing wonderfully. Now, and then just come in and get your accent, your shadow accent, and do it right in the middle of that. And then you can go in there and restate this too. We'll both of us see, because that box is in front. All these corners, it's stuff like this that separates the professionals from the amateurs. Get your corners right. Get your ellipses right. You're doing wonderful. Keep going. Okay, once again, the shadow side is going to be just like it was on the sphere, but it's half a sphere. So I'm going to soften that up. Then I'm going to come to the inside of the hemisphere, and I'm going to put another shadow there, because we also have the inside of the half a sphere to deal with. I'm going to restate the edges here. Now I'm going to go in and I'm going to add that shadow accent just like we did with the cone and just like we did with the sphere. It's going to be wider at the top and then more narrow as we come down to the bottom of the sphere, and also on that inside part of the sphere. We're going to darken that too. I don't even need to go into, well, what could these shapes be, do I? Because that's the whole basis for this exercise, is to teach you the basic shapes, and then whatever you look at is going to have the elements of one of these shapes. And that's what you need to acknowledge. See, look very closely at everything it is that you're drawing. An artist has to see. Another hint, this artist likes to garden. So, okay, isn't that exciting? All right, no blurting out the name now. That would just kill everything if you think you know who it is. Now the top of the cylinder should be a little lighter than what I have here, so I'm going to go up in here and I'm just going to lift out a little bit more of that color. With my paper towel, I could probably, oh, this is a great eraser. Wow, that's wonderful. Okay, now cylinder, same thing as we did with the cone and the sphere, only, you guessed it, the shadow area is going to be more even. And just bring it on down. And then you can smooth it out. So for the cylinder, I'm going to come back in right in the middle of that shadow area, and I'm going to put my shadow accent all the way down. This is grisaille. We would be painting, a true griselle would be using paint to do this, but charcoal is one of the first elements of drawing for any painting that you do, so this is a really great way to get started. We won't do this again in any of the shows, but I want you to remember. And these shows will be a progression of how to paint and what you're painting. Griselle means grayscale. So you're using colors from black to white and all the grays in between, which is what you're doing. The more you use your fingers to shade, then the more of the grayscale tones that you're creating. Then what we're going to do is spray the whole piece with our fixative. Probably not the best thing to do in an enclosed space, but might make this class a little more fun. We'll see. Let me spray this out. Now this will hold everything in place when we start to add our color. If you don't have fixative, you can use hairspray. Hairspray makes a wonderful ingredient to just keep things exactly where they are so they don't come off. All right, so before we get started on the color, I would love for each of you to turn your canvas boards around so that I can see what it is you've done and see what it is you need to do. Oh, it's wonderful. Oh, that looks great. I'm so pleased. See, if you can do that, then there's nothing that you can't paint. So I just don't want to hear any more excuses from anybody. And I love your little cone. There's one side of your cone looks like those orange cones out on the highway. A car hits your cone. That's okay. It has personality. It's just going to stand up there. Okay, we got them sprayed. I believe our spray has dried. So let's get ready to add color. We all have our color laid out on our palettes, and the colors we're using are cadmium red, alizarin crimson. We have a lemon yellow, and a cadmium yellow light and a lemon yellow. We have an ultramarine blue and a cerulean blue. We have a hooker's green and a lime green, and then we have white. We don't have any black or any dark brown because we've already got all the darks on our drawing that we're going to need, except for the shadows, which we forgot to put on. Okay, so the light's coming here. We're going to create a shadow right here for the sphere. Now see how that just makes that sphere look like it's totally grounded. Now, the secret to a shadow, all shadows, is the shadow is darkest the closest to the object that it gets, and it softens out and gets lighter the farther away. So if you can kind of indicate that for me a little bit, I think that would be lovely. Now, this is acrylic. It's a water-based medium. It dries very quickly. You can glaze over it. And we've put all these colors out there because I want you to be able to choose whatever color it is you want to paint your objects. You can paint them any color you want them. I would like each object to be one color, and then you can paint the background whatever color you want to paint it. We're going to also paint your shadow because shadows have some of the color of what is creating the shadow in it. So we want to show that as well. So now grab a brush, probably a flat. This is a size 10 flat, and it's an acrylic. It's a white nylon. It's called a Bright. And so grab those brushes, and that'll help you get into some of the corners too. The stroke is the object. So whenever you're painting something, you want to kind of maintain the integrity of the object, and that will be your stroke. Also, whatever color you decide to use, let's see, I want my sphere to be cadmium. So I'm going to pull aside some of this cadmium red and dip into your water. And what we want is a very, very thin mixture of paint. Pick out whatever color you want. I'm going to paint the sphere red, and I'm going to keep adding water to my mixture until I can almost see the palette underneath it. I want it to be a glaze. This is not a heavy impasto application. This is a glaze. Now I'm going to start painting my sphere, and I'm going to follow the form, dip back into my color mixture, just have at it. And you'll see that we're not picking up the charcoal, which is wonderful, because we've sprayed it with our fixative. And my strokes are round, they're circular. And I didn't have to add any black to it because we've already done that with the charcoal. The thing about the grisaille method is you work out where all your lights and darks are before you add your color. And then all you have to do is do your glazes of color, and all of the shading has been worked out for you already. Now I'm going to thin it out just a little bit more, and I'm going to paint into the shadow. Just pull it out with the brush. I'm going to mix my cerulean blue, and I'm going to mix the ultramarine blue to make a new color, to make an octanic color. Octanics make a color that's brighter and bolder than the two colors that you mix together. Now when I paint my box, I'm going to paint the top first using straight strokes. I'm going to paint the side, just going to pull it down using straight strokes because that's the form of the box. So just pull your brush strokes down, and I'm going to go over the shadow area too, same way. The next exercise is to do another painting, another drawing, and actually make shapes. Add some character to each of the shapes that we've already done here. Now I'm wetting this orange down just like I want you to do. Each color, get it very, very wet to a glaze consistency. Okay, I'm just painting down onto the cone. Now I'm going to do a yellow hemisphere because it's a little bitty thing, and I want to have a pop of color. Start with the inside. And then I'm going to paint. And it's a good thing I used yellow because it's so dark. Oh, and another hint about the artist is he likes bridges. Okay, what I miss? We have laughter coming over there. Has something emerged from one of those shapes that is not what we've talked about? Still not as glazy as I'd like, so I just added some water directly to my brush, and I'm just bringing it on down. Now if you want to get really crafty and you want to paint the background, you can do that as well. And this just covers up the white of the canvas. Okay, we're doing good. Oh, good colors, Brittany. I like those. They're very jewel tone. Oh, that's wonderful, Elizabeth. You were so talented. Everybody's smiling. That's a good thing. Art makes you happy. Are you happy? Hello.
Yeah.
Answer me. I'm the teacher. Are you happy at home? You should be. You should be. This should be the happy time when you take time away from your regular, just harried schedule to paint.
We are lost in the moment.
You really, I'm not interrupting the moment. And of course, if you don't have an ample amount of paint all over your hands and clothes, then you really haven't put yourself into it the way I fully expected you to. Brittany, you are there, Brittany. You have arrived. One of the things I wanted to do also was just to put a very small highlight on my round shape, just right here. And that just really accentuates where the light comes from so that you'll be sure, and just gives it that final roundness of appearance. Now what you can do, Vicki, is when you get your water, your paint up there, dip your brush directly into the water and then go directly back to the canvas board. And then that, and then that'll, and then that'll help you just smooth it all out. Oh yeah. And Elizabeth, you might dip your brush right back into your water and go directly from your water to your board, and then you, oh yeah, smooth it out. And we're just going to get a little glob of white, and we're just going to make a little dip mark right on your sphere just to show where the light comes in. Because on a sphere, that's a shiny surface. We're going to assume that's a shiny surface, and so we're just going to put that little white mark exactly where the light is hitting. You did your dip mark already. You did the mark. Y'all are just so good. Wow. I'll have to have you back next time. What do you say, Elizabeth?
I love it, Liz.
How many of you would come back and do this again?
I will.
Okay. Two out of three.
I might not pull out the ends of the gloves.
Elizabeth!
My hands are busy.
I'm shocked.
My hands are concentrated.
You got to put your name on it. Go ahead and sign it now while you can. Get your little brush and put your name on it.
Can we sign it anywhere?
Sign it in, well, yes, you can sign it anywhere. Usually paintings are signed in the lower left or the lower right, but you can sign it wherever you want to.
Well, I'm original.
You are original. This is very true. Some artists don't like you to see the signature unless you look really, really closely, so they hide it. They hide it in whatever the subject matter is. Are we ready to turn it around so we can all see? Miss Vicki.
Ready.
All right, let's turn these babies around and see what we got. From stick figure to almost stick figure to sorta, we have incredible, we've got incredible compositions here, masterpieces. Oh, I'll tell you, you know what? This has a very Cézanne type look to it. You're kind of a Gauguin-ish, and then the red. Oh gosh, who's the red? Oh gosh, I can't even say. It's so very red. It's Christmas. You've got a Christmas scene there. They're all wonderful. Thank you so much. Did this help you?
Yeah.
At home, there you go. The 5 basic shapes. Today you've learned them. You learned the Grisaille method, and you learned how to color wash over them so that you don't have to worry about anything in the final piece but the color. Thank you so much. Remember to email me at paintingwithraney@gmail.com to give me the name of the artist. And until then, we'll see you next time. Thanks so much.
It was so much fun. And I was told in grammar school that art was not my talent. Raney made it so much fun and so easy, and even I can do it.
I kind of feel like I just came out of a therapy session because I was so involved with it, and then we just kind of had fun with it and just got messy and had a good time. I loved it. It was good.
Well, my expectations wasn't this. With Raney's help, it looks really good.